In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to use the job queue with the RIP Manager. Now, the job queue is the last step of the process just prior to sending our artwork to our large format printer or printer cutter. Now, I'll show you what I mean by that. I'll come up to this button here, this drop down, and I'll click on RIP Manager to launch the RIP Manager. As you can see, the RIP Manager comes up, and on our left hand side here we've got all our print jobs that we've either processed or that we need to process to then send to our large format printer or printer cutter. Now, the way this works is quite simple. If you come up to the job queue here, you'll see this large list of items here, and you'll see the status that these items are in, these print jobs are in. You've got ripped, waiting to print, waiting to rip, printed, etc. And there's different statuses that an actual print job can have. In this case, printed means this job's already been printed, but because we've got keep jobs checked here, we can leave it in this queue. If I uncheck this, these printed jobs would all disappear, they'd all be removed. Waiting to rip means that we've had a job in the over here that we've sent, we've clicked rip only, like so, and we go to the job queue here, and you can see that it's now in the queue waiting to rip. Now we can also click print now or rip now. Now the difference between the two is very simple. If a job is waiting to rip and we click rip now, it will be ripped, in other words processed by the engines of the rip here, of the RIP Manager, and the file will then have a status of being ripped. Now the advantage of doing that is that you can prepare a lot of your jobs in the job queue, so you can pre-rip all your jobs that you need to, come to the job queue and simply just go and print them all. So it's been designed in a way that it allows you to work the way you want to work. You can either come into the pending jobs here. I can click on something like, I'll just select a small job that'll rip very quickly, say this one here. I can just simply click here, print, and also ask me print this job. So in other words, what it's going to do is it's going to actually rip this job and print it simultaneously. Just move this out of the way and you can see it's printing. So it's ripping and printing at the same time. And this might suit your the way you work. But in other places or in other environments, you might prefer to pre-rip all your jobs and have them ready to print. So you can do that as well. So I'll go to my done queue here and I'll go to that sample sign there. Instead of ripping and printing, in this case I'll just rip it. So now it's waiting to rip, as you can see. And I can click rip now, and just move this out the way, and you can see that the module's now ripping it. And it's very quick, as you can see. And that's a great thing with the VinylMaster RIP, is that it can work simultaneously. In fact, you can set how many processes you want to use to actually run the RIP files and the print files. So how many processes you throw at, or throw at I should say, ripping and printing. These things are up to you. On my particular computer here, I have 8 actual CPUs on this computer, so I can throw 8 CPUs at my processors here. In other words, I can greatly increase the speed. And that's another great thing with this RIP, is that if I go to printer settings here, I can actually have multiple printers installed, and I can actually rip and print simultaneously to multiple printers over multiple connections. I have all these options at my fingertips. So more about back to the job queue. I want to explain to you what this auto rip feature is here. The idea of auto rip when it's checked is that when I'm in my pending jobs here and I want to send all these jobs to my job queue, if I have auto rip checked here and I start sending these jobs to rip only, the module, the RIP Manager, will automatically start ripping those files immediately. So in other words, all these jobs will become ripped on the fly. So I'll just check auto rip here, and you can see, I'll just remove these out of the way so they're not blocking what we're seeing, and you can see what it's doing. And because I've got 8 processors on this computer, you can see it's pretty mighty fast here. It's just going ahead and ripping all these jobs because auto rip is checked. So you can see how fast this program actually is. It's lightning fast. And I can also be printing jobs at the same time. So this is waiting to print. I can print that as well. And I'll just move that out of the way. You can see that it's also printing and ripping all at the same time. And I can go back here and I can be doing other things. I can be working on my job options here, putting in job info and crop marks and things, while this is busily working away. And even though I've sent all those jobs to be ripped, you can see that it's just about finished all of those now. It's got one left here. I go to that, you can see, look at the size of this job here. It's 288 inches long, and it's already done all these other jobs because I've got 8 processes being thrown at this job. So it just goes to show you the power of this RIP here, this module, how powerful it is. So this is the idea of the job queue, that you can actually set things to be waiting to be printed, waiting to be ripped. You can auto-rip things, and you can auto-print as well. Now I'll just show you here, if I go to ripped here, so this is now waiting to be printed, and you can see that I can't print this, I can't rip this now, sorry, because it's already been ripped. The program recognizes this, and the rip now button is greyed out because it's already been ripped, and that's finished that enormous job there. So that's also all ripped, all ready to go. I can click print now, and if I did that, my printer would immediately go straight into work and immediately start printing this job, and it would do it at lightning speed, as fast as the printer can print. So this is the way this works now. So while I've got this ripped here, it's now ready to print. This thing here is printed, and I can use these tools here. I can change the position of these items, as you can see, up and down, where I want to actually place these things in the queue. I can set my job status. I can put this on hold, so I can hold this thing here. I can set it to be waiting to be ripped, or I can set it to be waiting to be printed. So I can set the status that I want these jobs to be set at. I've got that option there. If I no longer want this file here, I can just click delete. Sure, yes, that deletes the job out of the queue. If I uncheck keep jobs here, as I print jobs, they'll be removed and they'll end up in my done folder here. As you can see here, these are my done jobs here, and they automatically get this folder automatically gets populated as I actually finish my jobs off here. And as I showed you before, I can set the number of processes I want to use. I can also bring up the Windows spooling queue, you know, the standard Windows spool queue for the printing files, and I can also launch my vinyl spooler from here. So this is how the job queue works. So once I'm happy with my job here, I can just send it to my printer, print now, move this out the way, and as you can see, it prints it along, and it gives you it's spooling the job, and it's then going to print the job. So that explains to you how the job queue works. You just must remember that it's a interactive module. Dairy foods, rip only, job queue, dairy foods is here. I can now print it. I can rip it and then print it, or I can print it, rip and print it. And if I check auto rip here, it'll automatically find any jobs in the list that need to be ripped, automatically rips them, ready to go. And I can also abort this while I'm on the fly. I can stop this anytime I like. You can see it's aborted here, and I can come back to it, and it will remember where it was, as you can see, and just keep going on. So the job queue is a very powerful tool, and it can be used to prepare all your files and pre-rip them all and then let you print them out en masse, or you can actually rip and print as you go, or you can set your jobs in the queue here and set the status of each job the way you want to work. So you can look in the manual, and that'll explain this in written terms. Watch this lesson again to see how I've shown you how to do these things, because obviously the first couple of times you use this, it's not entirely clear, and I understand that, so it's certainly worth looking at this lesson again. And that's how the job queue works, and that's the end of this lesson.